best not move these because they go a bit mad, don't they?
Yeah, you don't want to touch it really
No,
in the face.
Takes your head off. Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Liverpool Blood Red podcast. I'm Dan Kay and I'm joined here by Matt Addison, and we're just going to have a little chat about the latest whys and wherefores around the Reds on the back of today's 2-0 victory at Anfield over who did we play today? It's been a long day, hasn't it? Watford, yes. That's who it was. It was a bit of a hard slog for the Reds today, but they got the 3 points. Matt has actually been up at the Academy this afternoon, haven't you, watching the under-23s take on Chelsea, and it was 1-1. Tell us how that went today, Matt.
Yeah, so Chelsea are top of the table. They haven't lost all season. Really, really good side. Obviously, as we know, over the last few seasons, we've seen a lot of them in FA Youth Cups and that sort of thing. So it was a really difficult game, really windy and horrible, as it always is, over in Kirby. As you said, one each. Curtis Jones was on the score sheet. I think Liverpool probably just about deserved a point on the day, but Chelsea certainly missed a number of chances, and Chelsea had a player sent off towards the end of the game as well, and you sort of thought that maybe Liverpool would kick on, and it was 1-1 at that time. Maybe they could go on and find a winner, but as it turned out, finished one each, and Chelsea could have gone on and gone on to win even with a player less. So yeah, a difficult game, but I would say the story was more the players who didn't play, considering the games that Liverpool have got coming up at first team level, rather than those who did today.
Well, you mentioned Curtis Jones, and he was the Liverpool goal scorer today, but he was taken off at half-time. What can we read into that in advance of the Carabao Cup quarter-final at Villa on Tuesday night?
Yeah, I mean, certainly, it certainly looks like he's going to be playing. I did actually speak to Neil Critchley after the game and sort of tried to press him into an answer one way or the other, but he was keeping it coy, of course, as he would, and I think over the next couple of days, he said they're going to make an assessment and see who's going to play. But certainly there was a little bit of a smile on his face when he was saying that. I think it would be a massive shock if Curtis wasn't playing. I mean, he's such a confident player, a confident boy. He's only 18, but he's captaining the under-23s on a regular basis. And whenever you speak to him and the players and anybody around the club, really, he's so highly rated, not just as a footballer, but as a captain and as a person as well. And I've written something today on him as well, just sort of looking back at the game today about how he's not necessarily a vocal player or someone who's going to, shout and sort of do that side of the captain's job, but he just leads by example. He gets on with his own job and does that absolutely perfectly week after week. Yeah,
and that's why Jurgen Klopp has started to kind of introduce him into the first team picture a little bit more. He made his Premier League debut last Saturday at Bournemouth, didn't he? It's a really big opportunity for some of these youngsters on Tuesday night, with obviously the bulk of the squad will already have flown out to Qatar for the World Club Championship, which obviously we'll get on to shortly. Who will be the real names, along with Curtis, that Reds fans will be tuning in on Tuesday night, should be looking out for?
I think it's quite tough to tell. I mean, I think Nico Williams, of course, is one that people have been talking about. People will have seen him in the last round.
Arsenal, didn't he? Yeah.
Absolutely brilliantly against Arsenal, and that was his first senior appearance to sort of play against a team. They were much changed, Arsenal as well, but
they were stronger than our lineup, weren't they?
It's still a big team, and in front of 54,000 people, it's not an easy task, of course, and he's had a lot of injury problems over the last couple of seasons, and to sort of see that the development has still took place, even though that has been the case, is great. And I think certainly he'll be looking to play. I think with the lack of centre-back options that Liverpool have got at the moment, they'll probably, Sepp van den Berg will probably get another go, and Keanu Hoover as well. I think that'll probably be the two centre-backs, so certainly lots to watch out for there. But Harvey Elliott, I think, is nailed on. He was one who didn't play today for the 23s, I think, probably with that game in mind. And I don't know how changed Liverpool are going to go. I'm not sure what you think about this, but potentially there's going to be maybe a Leighton Clarkson or a Jake Kane coming into the team, just even if they're on the bench. I mean, they played a full 90 minutes today, which would suggest maybe they're not going to start on Tuesday, but just to make up the numbers with obviously so many of those first team players being away.
There was a suggestion a couple of weeks ago that some of the youngsters who will be involved at Villa may then fly out to Qatar for the latter stages for the final. Is that likely to happen? Has there been anything further on that?
As far as I'm aware, that is the plan at the moment.
Yeah.
From speaking to people around the club today, it seems to be that Curtis is probably one who's going to do that. Probably Harvey Elliott as well. The plan is, I think, for them to play on Tuesday, which I think makes absolute sense. It's an opportunity that they wouldn't ordinarily have got to play a first team game, and I think it's absolutely the right thing to do. I think I'm not sure how many there'll be, probably 4 or 5 of them that play on Tuesday and then go over and join up with the rest of the squad. But yeah, it's just a massive opportunity.
And those that will potentially be involved in midweek in Birmingham and then at the weekend, there's no suggestion that any senior players will be left behind.
As far as I'm aware, it's going to be a very youthful team.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a possibility, of course, that there might be 1 or 2, but I think Jurgen Klopp will want to keep sort of the mainstays of his team together. It would almost be a little bit disrespectful to leave behind, say, an Adam Lallana or a James Milner. I mean, not that they take it the wrong way or anything, but I think they'll probably just travel with the first team.
Yeah, fair enough. So moving on to Qatar next week, the World Club Championship. It's been a long build-up. Obviously, Liverpool have known that they were going to be involved in this for some months now. Now that it's actually here, just how important is it? This will be Liverpool's fourth, 81, 85 and 05. This will be Liverpool's 4th attempt to become world champions. I've heard some Liverpool supporters suggesting that really it's only a trinket, and the Reds' priority should absolutely be on the Premier League and Champions League and nothing else. How much importance do you place on it?
I think for me personally, I think it's just an opportunity, as you say, to go and win a trophy and something that Liverpool haven't done before. I think it just makes sense to sort of treat it as what it is, which is a semi-final and a final. I think there's still an opportunity to maybe rotate the squad a little bit. I mean, the opponents are starting to become clearer. You know, as we
should know
now.
tonight, shouldn't we?
Yeah. So, whoever Liverpool play, I think they'll be favourites. They'll take it seriously enough, but I think there'll be changes. But why not take it seriously? I mean, you're going over there yourself, aren't you? So
I am. I'm going as a supporter. Booked it a couple of months ago. But, for me, it's hugely important. I mean, I think it's always been a big deal to the South American teams. And there's been a suggestion that maybe English football doesn't take it that seriously. Maybe that's because English clubs have competed in it less often than the South Americans. I think from Liverpool, without getting all political, Liverpool is a city that does look outwards, does see itself as a European and a global city as much as anything else. And the sense I get, not just from my mates who I'm going to be going out with, but in a wider sense that we've always taken such great pride in Liverpool being, now 6 times champions of Europe. But we've never actually been able to put that crown on ourselves and say, we are the world champions. And particularly the last, 14 years ago, when we played Sao Paulo in Japan, having won the European Cup in Istanbul, I remember feeling absolutely gutted when we lost 1-0 very narrowly, pretty much battered the Brazilians for 90 minutes, had 3 goals disallowed. And, I really hope that the season that Liverpool have had, they've made such giant strides, not just this season, over the last 18 months, but it would feel like the natural progression, having become European champions, then become world champions, and then, even though it's slightly reversed, as we all hope, we're all hoping later in the spring, maybe the domestic champions on top of it, but it can only be one step at a time, of course. But I think the build-up really kind of starts in earnest now that we've got today's fixture with Watford out of the way, and we'll obviously have plenty of content and talking points before, during and after both matches in Qatar. So obviously make sure you stay tuned to the Blood Red channel on YouTube and of course the Echo website. Just to kind of wrap up, we'll just have a quick chat about today's football. What did you make of the Watford game?
Yeah, it kind of went roughly how I thought it might go, where Liverpool would do enough. I think if Liverpool play at their best, they're more than capable of putting 5, 6, 7 past Watford.
Yeah.
But there's no real need to do that at the moment, is there, with so many fixtures to come up. I think Liverpool just did enough. I think they were a bit lucky with some of the chances that they gave away. That was a slight surprise for me, just quite how open and Watford are not a team who've scored that many goals this season. So, Yeah, slightly strange, but look, job done.
Yeah, I think it was always going to be one of those games. The fact that it was Nigel Pearson's first game in charge, I think if this fixture had been a fortnight ago, I think it would have gone completely differently. Yeah. But it's his first game. Obviously, he's come in there with them being rock bottom of the table, and his first job is to make them obdurate and hard to beat and hard to break down. And they did that while at the same time actually probably posing more of a threat attacking wise than I think we maybe would have anticipated. And we've got a story online of him talking after the game, Nigel Pearson, the new Watford manager, saying that he was encouraged by his team's performance, but ultimately they had to bow to Liverpool's superior class in the particularly in the forward positions. But I think it was I think the other factor you've got to bear in mind as well is that even though it was 4 days ago now, Liverpool did have a very intense Champions League fixture, which even though a 2-0 victory in Salzburg in the end looked relatively comfortable, for that first 55 minutes or so until we got our noses in front, everything was very much on the line, and they had to put an awful lot into it. So, as you say, I think it was job done. Sometimes when you have these kind of fixtures just before a big, glamorous cup tie, I think we've seen in the last couple of years the professionalism in this and the dedication in this Liverpool team is second to none. But they wouldn't be human if there isn't a slight element of let's get the job done without getting injured and with keeping enough in the tank. And they did that today. And even if Watford did have a few chances, so did we. To be fair, it could have ended up maybe 4 or 5, 1 or 2 instead of the 2-0. But 3 points, job done, and that extended the lead at 2:15 to 11 points. I think most of us were expecting that to be cut back to 8 when Leicester City took on Norwich City at 3 o'clock. But that wasn't the case, and it ended up 1-1 at the Walkers Stadium. Is it still called the Walkers? No, it's King Power, isn't it? Sorry, showing my age there. The King Power Stadium, with Leicester actually going behind and then pulling a goal back, but they weren't able to get it over the line. So Liverpool's lead is now 10 points. It's a very healthy advantage that as we approach the halfway point of the league season.
Yeah, a massive shock, really. I mean, I sort of was looking at that game thinking, of course, Leicester are going to win, But then, as I was at the academy this afternoon doing my copy, writing up for the website, and the guy behind me was going, "Oh, Norwich are 1-0 up here," and half time I sort of asked him again and was just expecting him to go, "Oh, it's 2-1 Leicester or whatever," but no, it wasn't. So a healthy lead for Liverpool. You don't want to go too far and say it's done or anything like that, because there's such a long way to go. But I think, it sets up next week nicely as well, because, of course, Manchester City play Leicester next week. So
as the final in Qatar kicks off.
Yes, at the same time. So someone somewhere is going to have to drop points, and Liverpool can capitalise that once they return to England. So, interesting times.
Yeah, it's a great position to be in. I mean, I'm chatting to one of our photographers here. I don't think he's a Liverpool fan. Said, it's all over. They may as well just give you the trophy now. And, if it hadn't been for, I'm of an age when I can remember all the kind of near misses we've had in the last 29, 30 years. But the fact that we've now played 17 league matches, is it?
Yes, I think so, yeah.
16 wins, 1 draw.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal record, but we've still got more than half the league season to go. So still a lot of football to be played, but I think it's safe to say there's 19 other teams that would gladly swap positions with the Reds at the moment. So let's hope it's a good week of cup football. And, of course, Liverpool's next league fixture now will be against Leicester on Boxing Day. That's a long way off. We're getting our cup heads on now. And, of course, we'll be having lots of build-up to both the games at Villa and the trip to Qatar right the way up until Tuesday and into next week. So make sure you stay tuned to the Blood Red channel and, of course, the Echo website. And we'll keep you posted with everything that's going on. Good night for now.